Hey, I'm Stinson Bland with Waco First Home Buyers. I want to take a couple minutes to answer, what is the difference between wholesaling versus cash home buying? Not all investors, but some investors are wholesalers. They're simply middlemen, meaning they will go to you as a seller, get you to agree to a price, contract that price, and then go look for cash buyers like us. We're a true cash buyer. So they're going to take their contract and say, I have property 123 Main Street at this price, but I'm trying to sell it for a higher price. They come to me or other cash buyers and see if I'm willing to pay their price. If I'm willing to pay their price, they make the spread, meaning you get what they offered you, I pay them what they're asking, and they make the difference. No problem if it works out, right? You're happy, you got what you agreed on, they make a little money for doing the transaction. The problem there is there's all these variables in between that nobody can control. The wholesaler who you've agreed to sell the house to is relying on me. When I say me, I'm saying as the end buyer, who oftentimes are buyers they've never dealt with. They're hoping that that end buyer can show up and close. I have no problem with wholesaling. I started wholesaling in 2009 and wholesaled for 2 years straight. There's nothing wrong with it. What the issue in today's marketplace is that most people are learning about it on the internet. They don't have the experience to properly evaluate the properties to know what somebody like a cash buyer will pay. And then they don't have I don't want to say they don't have the ethics. They're just not transparent about their intentions, okay? So they don't tell the home buyer what's going on. A lot of times home buyers come to us after they've been burned by wholesalers. And I can tell real quick, the house yesterday, I was telling you about with the fleets. They said, hey, a buyer fell through. I said, let me ask you, did that buyer need to have contractors come over? He's like, yeah, like 3 times. They weren't contractors. He was lying to them, saying he was bringing contractors to look at the house, but what he was bringing was cash buyers to look at the house, and nobody would end up paying what he wanted to sell it for. So unfortunately, a lot of wholesalers will lock up the house under contract, record that contract with the county. This is very technical, but once you're in contract to sell a property with somebody and they record that contract with the county, it's called clouding the title. That means your house cannot be sold until that cloud is released with the county. One, Waco First Home Buyers, we don't cloud it ever. We don't record contracts. If sellers want out, we let them out. But what they'll do is they'll cloud the title with the contract so you can't sell it, and then they beat you a time. They go weeks and weeks and then just start negotiating you down so that they can make a spread. So at first they might have offered you 100 grand. Once they find out cash buyers are only willing to pay 90 grand, they're gonna beat you down or could beat you down to 80 grand so they can make a spread. And my issue with wholesalers in today's marketplace is the lack of transparency in telling them what's going on. Most investors are using hard money loans or some kind of financing that requires a process. They have to get a bank approval. Waco First Home Buyers is local to the Waco market. Our banking relationships are all local, and we have unsecured lines of credit. What that means is that I go to the bank and say, I need XYZ amount of money today. They don't ask what it's for. They give me the check and I go to the title office. So when we do a deal, me and the seller, I'm not concerned about having the money, and I control all the variables. I know where the cash is coming from. I'm insuring the property. My attorney's taking care of all the title work so I can make sure it gets done cleanly and quickly and cheaply for you, no cost. And when there's a wholesaler, there's a third party in there, and you as a seller have no connection. They're always gonna block you from talking to that end party because that end party is willing to pay more. And to be really clear, when we have a network of buyers too, we've been doing this for 16 years now. If I make an offer to a seller and my offer doesn't work for them, say I offer 100 grand and they're like, hey, I really need 120. If I know a buyer that I think will pay 120 because they have a different business model than me, I'll tell them, hey, I have a buyer. I would like to do what's called a wholesale. I have a full contract where it discloses that we're intentionally gonna wholesale the property, and we'll do that on occasion. You know, we did it last week with a property in Temple. It was a vacant property in an area that I didn't want a vacant land I didn't want to buy. I asked her if I could do it. She said, yeah. I asked for a week's time. We did it for a week. She got her money. I made $1,400 for the effort, and she was totally happy. Miss Dolores, she put a wig on for the closing. It's hilarious. I didn't recognize her.